We're doing a lateral arm, lateral link, upper control arm, whatever you want to call it. Buick Enclave. It's this arm right here. It's all funny shaped here. You got your wheel speed sensor, wire and harness clip to it. Those just come right off. Working on some other stuff too. This has play. If you push in at the top of the tire, it'll go in, so it can't be aligned. Right there, we got a 21 millimeter socket on a ratchet. I've marked right there on that alignment washer so that it goes back at the same place. So that's holding our bolt still. And we got this one loosened up. That's a 21 mil. You could fit a 13/16 on it. And for starters, we're just gonna take this off, this nut. A lot of times, these will seize up inside the control arm, which makes the job so much harder. So there's our nut off. We're gonna start with doing this side, the toughest side. Sometimes the other side can be a pain. So we've got a hex on here. I believe it's a 10 millimeter, so we could try to spin it. This one looks pretty rusty. I don't think it's just gonna hammer out if you hit the tip of there. You might have to start working the wrench on this side back and forth, and hopefully it's not seized up in there, the bolt. And the other side has a really long bolt going through right here, and that can seize up inside that. It could seize up inside there, the bolt. We're gonna worry about that side later. For now, we're gonna try to get that bolt out. All right, so we got a 21 millimeter on this side. I got the bolt loosened, or the nut, I should say, with a wrench. You can bring the curved side of the wrench down, get a breaker bar on the wrench, and it broke free. So it's spinning. It's tough the whole way off, but it's spinning. I wanted to see if I'd have to bust the torches out on this one. I put my 10 millimeter on here. Let's see. And it started spinning for me. So it's spinning. The whole bolt internally is spinning. It's good. We won't have to bust the torches out to get it free from the inner sleeve of the bushing. So now I'm gonna take the nut off. You can kind of see it through the peak hole there. I'm gonna take that nut off and bring the bolt out this way, ratchet side. I'm gonna leave the ratchet on there as a stopper so it doesn't just keep spinning. And yeah, it doesn't look like, it looks like that bolt's long enough that it's not gonna come out the back side here. See if I can find it with the camera. Yeah, it's gonna hit this subframe. I've done some of these where they need to be torched out, and I actually, oh, it's just a pain. It's a pain. It looks like this one's gonna come out for us today. All right, I got the nut off of this side. Took that washer off. It's down there on the floor. We have it marked. So we're gonna line it back up with the mark that I have when we put the new one on. And I put the nut back on because it's not just falling out of there, all right? Needs some hammer blows or something. But we got this subframe in the way. I'm gonna take my air chisel with the long bit. I put the nut back on so I don't hurt the threads, and just give it a gentle air hammering out of there. Gotta get it out of there. All right, so the air chisel didn't pop it out like I wanted it to. It spun so freely with some PB Blaster, I thought it would just pop right out, but it wouldn't. You can see I still got a stud there, but I have actually pushed it in a bit. The way I've done that is like this, putting the nut back on. Got a ratchet holding the middle of the stud still. And I got my ratcheting wrench on there. And as you tighten this nut, because the whole bolt's threaded, as you tighten that nut, it actually sucks it back further. It's like you're pressing it out. So it seized to that bushing a little bit internally, but it's working its way out. You're basically pressing it with the nut on the other side. And that's how we're getting this guy out. You can see it's real oily. Sprayed the crap out of it with PB Blaster. And that's how we're gonna get this the rest of the way out. Just keep on tightening the other side and drawing it out. I got that bolt pressed back as far as I can. Basically, see, it's being shoved forward towards the arm. So it's kind of like pinched in there now. So now we're gonna loosen up this side. Get this side broke free. And let's see here. Let's see what we got. 21 mil. 21 mil. On the other side, 21 mil. But I sprayed it down a while ago. Maybe I'll give it another spray. I'm gonna zip this bolt off, or this nut off, with my impact and give it a few taps. This one has this bolt is pointed, so you can hammer on it without hurting the threads to a certain extent. If it doesn't break free, then I'll take my impact and start spinning this way to get it to break free from this long piece that the bolt goes through. That long bolt came out real easy, piece of cake. Zipped the nut off. I had to keep my wrench on this side because it started spinning. That was good when it started spinning. I was like, perfect. So, zip that nut off, and then just put a little screwdriver on the end of there. Once it got deeper than the control arm, give it a few taps, came out. Now our control arm is loose. You lift it up, give it a few hammers backwards. Now I'm closer to the middle and not jammed forward. There's no pressure. So hopefully now this bolt, if you could see, there's a bushing, metal bushing on the inside of that bolt. It goes all the way around it. That's what it likes to seize through. It's still on there pretty tough, but now we don't have that outward pressure on the arm. Should be able to get it out of there. It's on that bolt. See if we can get a view on it. Right there, see there's no more threads? It's not gonna press any further. I've got it pushed out a little ways, putting the nut on the end of there and air chiseling the nut. So it's almost flush and it's still really stiff. I sprayed it down with some more blaster and spun it from this side. Now at that point you can take this nut off and put some washers over it. I don't know why the camera won't focus. There we go. Take this nut off, put some washers on the inside, stack them up, and then continue your pressing. I think this one's gonna come free with a few more hits from this end over here. And unless you got spare hardware, you can order the hardware. Don't hurt those threads on that end, all right? That bolt still wouldn't punch out of there. You can see it's buried deep. So this is my setup. I put two big nuts on there because we ran out of threads. And I hit the end of the road again, but it's almost all the way out of there. I can almost pull this control arm out. It might pop out of there now. It's still up at an angle, so it's almost out of there, barely hanging on. I might need a washer on top of those two big spare nuts, but it's almost out. When I go to do the other side, because it has play 2, I'm gonna spray it down real good, but I'm gonna go straight to the press out method on the other side for this one. That bolt is just fighting me the whole way, even with spraying blaster in there and spinning it, working the blaster in. It's just fighting the whole time. Got the bolt all cleaned up. The side with more threads is going to go towards the front of the vehicle. I greased it up good, so next time it won't seize in there. If it has to be adjusted for alignment or anything, I'm going to get this wire out of the way. I just got it loosely started in the knuckle here. Got a little support, little jack here. We've got to fit it up into that slot right there. Maybe I'll take it out of here. Try to get it started up in there. It's gonna be kind of tight. Oh, this one's pretty sloppy. All right, so short threads are going towards the back of the vehicle. Boom, we got it in there. Now it's time for washers. On the back side, I got this little mark, little paint mark. Go. We're just gonna put the washer on for now. It's not sitting in between the grooves. Yep, I can still see my part mark on this one. I didn't put a real good mark on it. I'm gonna line this washer up with the grooves of the bolt. There we go. It's in on that side. Now this washer has to get in on this side. So I gotta push the control arm inwards. There we go. Washer's in between the two flat spots. Got my nut that goes on this side. Perfect. I gotta find my nut for the other side, figure out where I put it. There it is. All right, we're gonna put a wrench on this side and whatever we can get on that side, ratcheting wrench. And we're gonna tighten that up and get our marks where we marked it on the washer. See, we gotta do some spinning to get the marks to line up. You spin the actual bolt. And then we'll just, once that's tight, we gotta line up our steering knuckle. See, it's pushed forward, outwards from the vehicle. So we gotta push in on this and get it lined up. We'll just give it a little smack. Here's a hammer. Going through. Not quite, we're not straight. Just give it a little tap to get it going that way. And I greased up this bolt too. Might have to take the pressure off the vehicle. I got a little jack here. Try to get this guy to push forward. It just came out of its slot. Camber. We're coming through. Good. So we had a washer on this end. Yeah, we're gonna do everything except for the alignment. I don't do alignments. So we want to get those marks lined up so they're as close as possible for the alignment shop after this is done. We're gonna tighten up these bolts, tighten up these two nuts here so that our marks are lined up from our washer to the mark we marked earlier. These washers fit in between these two grooves. And clip our wheel speed sensor back on in their spots. And, you know, tighten everything back up. That's how you do the lateral arm, control arm.